So I am very pleased to be joined by Mr. Amos, who is the founder of BPIC Network, which is a fantastic organization in the built environment business, working with diversity and inclusion. And we are very excited to be partnering with them. So, Amos, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're a busy man. So yeah, you are currently stuck abroad at the moment, aren't you? So you're working working vigorously from the other side of the world at the moment, ish.
Yeah, yeah, like no, it's really good. It's really good though. Working here, there's advantages of it like, in terms of the weather, but then the way the world is connected these days, there's that connectivity element which sort of has worked really well for people in lockdown. So I am abroad, but feels like it's a normal working day
It does,
when
yeah.
everything's alive.
It does, and we haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet. So I think we definitely have to get that arranged when you're back in the
Absolutely,
UK.
absolutely.
Yeah, networking is very important, especially with what you do. So just give us a general overview of BPIC, what BPIC is, and how it came about. How did you set it up?
Yeah, absolutely. So starting up, with the BP network, the vision almost, shaped itself with the times, being in the right space at the right time, the right conversations, and just middle of 2019, it sort of got sparked by a conversation I was having with my colleague in terms of our industry and what makes it difficult, perhaps to survive in our industry. Sounds bad when you say survive, but to keep being in the industry without sort of giving up on it. But actually, as an industry or as a work environment, you just don't need to be surviving. You actually need to be having a really good time, doing what you're doing, being in industry, enjoying going there. So I was like, look, from my perspective, I was seeing it as such a fantastic opportunity to be working in industry based on, the flexibility we have from my side. Obviously you see things being physically built, the characters that you meet, like there's loads and loads and loads of people that you come across. And for me, I was thinking, hang on a minute, like, would you rather be, not talking down other industry, but would you rather be in an office with the same people all the
Yeah,
time, looking at a screen, or would you see loads? So that's how it got sparked. So like, look, the industry is really good. If you're struggling, just set up a network that essentially we can help each other and circumvent all the issues that you perhaps would spend years and years and years asking companies to fix. That we can do something ourselves. If I can help you, I'm sure 2 or 3 of my colleagues will be happy to help. That's how the network came about. And then over time, gradually, really gravitated with the industry and start realizing, look, we actually need to work with the industry.
yeah,
There's something here that we can work with, and then we sort of morphed it into what it is now, which is essentially that bridge between communities from Black and African minorities with the industry itself. So facilitating in so many ways in terms of
exactly.
the people pipeline, in terms of the engagements that we have with the events, in terms of the things like mentoring, leadership, um, as well as how to improve the industry itself to be more inclusive,
I agree.
because that's just something that nobody
Yeah.
ever knows. So that's how it came about, and that's our main objectives now.
Yeah, it's no, I totally agree, and that's why it's such a fantastic organization. I mean, speaking obviously with yourself and your background, and me as well, obviously with my Mediterranean background, we don't really tend to think about industries and how they still have these issues on inclusion. And we're not just talking about ethnicity and background and race. We're talking about gender as well. Like we're getting a lot more females going into the industry, and that's absolutely fantastic as well. So I think what you and your network have done has been absolutely outstanding. So on the back of that, what is your main goal? What is your vision? What do you want to see through BPIC and partners?
I think our main vision is really to have a long lasting impact on the industry, to actually be part of force for good that's going to make our industry known wider, improve the cultural perspective of the industry, and actually the same impact the industry has on our lives and communities in the fact that we're all sitting in buildings and all our cities are built. We want to have that same impact on on actual people and the workforce within the industry. So for us, that's our long-term objectives. On all the different facets I've mentioned in terms of what we focus on. The big objective is for that influence to sort of come together to say we've actually been a force for good within the industry in the long term, and make that impact permanent as well. In terms of we've left these times, we've moving forward in this direction where everybody's included, where the workplaces are open, where those cultural sort of stereotypes just they cannot forever dissolve, but they can actually.
Exactly.
The stereotypes from the past that have completely dissolved, and that's such a big possibility. That it will actually happen.
That's great, yeah, and obviously the opportunity to work with loads of partners at the same time kind of puts you in good stead, and obviously gets your vision, your goals out there, and obviously increase the positivity around especially the construction industry. And obviously we've started working here at Construction Helpline with you as partners, which has been absolutely fantastic. And I've only been in the role within a few weeks, and I've seen the amazing work that you do. So how do you find working with partners, especially working with Construction Helpline? I mean, how do you find the relationships, and what do you hope to achieve through those relationships at the same time?
Yeah, no, it's the working with partners. Obviously, in the first instance, is really exciting. You say, okay, yeah, we've started working now. We're gonna do so much work. Usually at inception, there's just so much, ambition. There's the conversations are like, this is what I want to do, and it's always, exciting at that point. And then coming into the journey is actually then looking at, we're all happy for environment to be inclusive in everything and get the talent. But then, it's the next steps to say, how do you implement that? And just like everything else, I want to have a six pack, right? But I don't have it because
yeah, me too. Don't we all?
It's not because there's no gyms or there's no good food. It's just what happens in between you wanting to get something and getting it. It happens also with companies, right? To say, then you then start dealing with the rest of the organization, start dealing with people. They start having, everything else that happens, because you're dealing with builders, right? The main focus is to build. So everything else that happens in between is still having that focus in between to say we are, even if it's one or two things, at least it's moving. So the relation is really interesting when it comes to that. When it comes to that, where you've had the relation, you've spoken to to the relevant people, but now it's a case of moving the steps forward. You're dealing with everybody else within the organization. So that's sort of the interesting part, where we then try to reinvent ourselves, making that second step easier as well.
Yeah.
Right. So you say, okay, the conversation has been easy. We spoke about it. Yes, that's brilliant. But the next step, how do we make it again easy to be implemented? So if you say, for example, making the company more inclusive, not having to say, oh, we're going to spend the next 6 months writing a report. That's just going to be too long, really. What's the shortest thing we can do in that short space of time that's going to give us results? When you're looking for talent, what's the easy way to connect A and B to say, there you go, there it is. For our graduates, for example, when we're working with clients, that's a service that we offer for free, because we don't want to complicate it at that point, at that level so far. Here's a graduate, here's a good cohort, here they are. Get them in if you got the role. So it's looking at how do you then make the processes easier going forward, and that's the sort of dynamic of the relation, really. So overall, it's exciting, but it gets morphed into different sort of relations the more you go into it.
Yeah, you say about obviously the young professionals as well. We've recently you put us in touch with two young, soon to be professionals who've taken part in two of our, in our courses, and I gather the feedback has been absolutely fantastic. So what what have you heard from them and taken the, is it the courses that Construction Helpline has does create and does hold, and how have they found them?
Yeah, me personally, I've been surprised with the uptake, to be honest with you, because I think we sent out an email telling
Mm,
people that obviously partnership, this is what's going to happen, etc. I think within the first like 20 minutes, we had about 55
yeah,
applications, and I was thinking, really, we get good responses. Don't get me wrong, but that response rate is up there,
yeah,
with
yeah,
like if not right in the top 2, 3, you like, where did you start? Right, you start asking
exactly.
someone to say, what do I do? That's the nature of the industry. It hasn't really like exposed itself in that regard sometimes, where it's been, you have to know somebody, you have to do this. So when you're talking to someone just in general, and then you say, do you want to work construction? Sometimes I don't know where to start. So when you just say, look, you can start here. Here's a
Yeah,
construction helpline course you can do.
yeah,
That people just be like, it makes it so much easier to say,
yeah,
okay, I can actually start here, and I'll say I've got this qualification easy. So that relation so far has been so fantastic, and from what I'm seeing, it's got so much legs in terms of accessibility, how we're going to get into, because people, as much as you say advertise it, you want to say start here, like
exactly.
sign up. Same way as someone can say, yeah, we've got this amazing product, sign up here, but then it's 20 questions. You're probably just not gonna
Yeah,
finish answering all of them. Like, what's your address? You probably don't remember, because you just look, I just want this product, man. Why are you asking me all these
exactly.
questions? So just making it that easy to say name, put your name there, in. That's it.
This is it, and this is what a lot of the young, future professionals need to realize that, it's you can start from scratch. You can start from the very, very beginning, and people do see the construction industry as, building sites and cranes, but it's not just that, is it? It's, you have the professionals in terms of, c- carpenters or woodworkers, and that's all in that industry. So that's exactly what we're trying to do together, and get that exposure out to a lot of the future young professionals to come and sign up to our courses, and especially working with BPIC. Who cares where you're from, or what gender you are, or what race you are. You could do it anytime, any place. Um,
Absolutely, absolutely.
and in terms of going forward, how do you see yourself in the industry going forward now, especially as we're moving out of the pandemic finally? What do you see for this year?
So the reception we've received so far has been really, really good. With the partners, there's so much, so many other plans that we have in place with our network, with the industry leaders, with the industry organizations we're working with, and for us, it's executing them. What we want to do is, at the end of the year, actually reflect back
Yeah,
and look at all the successes we've had. So, for example, the construction helpline, how many people have we helped actually in practice get into the industry? Because uh, that's what counts. At the end of the day, is the industry is an inclusion issue and diversity issue, but it, it boils down to how many people are coming in and how many are staying. That's it, right? Like, you could talk about, obviously, like, promotion, this, that, and the other, but from our perspective, we're working on
yeah,
professional side, which covers that anyway,
yeah,
right? With people that are coming in. So for us, every day we're working like we're in December, right? Looking back to say there needs to be real change. You can do this, you can do that, but we're going to look at measurable, tangible change that we've have made. So every item is sort of done with that conscious, thoughts in mind,
yeah,
to say
yeah,
that that's where we want to be. That's the targets. So all our targets are focused, number one, on the partners, the inclusion, the talent that we've had, working with the industry to actually start measuring what are the numbers you have in the industry, or what are the retention rates, because those numbers in some instances don't even exist,
exactly.
because
Yeah, yeah,
nobody has even bothered to kind of look for them.
yeah,
So when the industry rises to say we want to be more inclusive, it's like, well, how? Like what does that even mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
In terms of measuring it. So for us, that's what some of the objectives we're looking to cover.
That's yeah. No, I totally agree, and that's what BPIC and Construction Helpline are here for. To pretty much help anyone in any way, shape, or form that we can, and hopefully doing things like this will expose both the organisations and hopefully bring more people forward. But in terms, obviously, trying to work through a very, very tough year and a bit, and still doing what we're doing is absolutely fantastic that we've got the opportunity to do so. As we know, the construction industry, there was a bit of a lull, but it didn't really close. So if anything, now there's plenty more opportunities for people now who want to change careers or upskill or completely change where they're going in terms of their career, and that's what we're here for. But in terms of if you had to do anything differently, or if you knew, if you knew back then what you know now, what would it be? What would bit of a killer question that. If you could do anything different, what would it be?
With the work that I've been doing with BPIC Network, I wouldn't want to know anything because I wasn't in that. I didn't know anything about diversity and inclusion, so I didn't have much more visibility to that. And it might sound funny, but sometimes things are just passing you because perhaps you just focus on the things you're focused on, so selfishly. And I just thought that's just the industry. I just thought that's just how it is. If I'm the only black guy, I'll just be like whatever.
Yeah.
I just thought this is just how it is. Really, I never actually took it as a problem, right? Until I had to experience other people's experiences. That's like, oh, right, this is actually a problem, right? We've got a problem here that we can solve. How can we solve it? So the reason why I say I wouldn't want to be any different, because if I had views already on the industry and how it is, perhaps the solutions were implemented, I wouldn't have done it that way.
Yeah.
I probably would have said a different approach of we need to do this, we need to do that, or just say, man, it's the industry, what can we do about it? Or just say some people are like, yeah, we're screwed forever, like that's it, there's nothing. So all those views sometimes actually stop you from progressing.
Yep.
So if I had those views, because sometimes it's tiring, right? You hear people say, I'm tired of having this conversation, because they really are, and I wasn't tired of having it. I had time for it, so I was at the start of that curve, right?
Yeah.
So, right now I'm at some point in that curve, and one day I'm going to also be tired. Hopefully not, but if I'd come in with so much knowledge, I probably wouldn't have come with this totally different energy where I'm like, you know what? Don't worry about it. That's just how it is. Or it's never going to change. Or let's do this, let's do that. So I really like the fact that I didn't know nothing about it. So essentially, from where I started, I wouldn't really want to change anything for those reasons, because I actually think that's been the energy behind it, of not knowing. Don't get me wrong, I knew the inequalities in the world, but it just never struck me, those numbers, those figures in the workplaces, this, that, and the other. Just never saw it that way. So that actually was a real benefit.
That's absolutely fantastic, and hopefully, we together we can make a bit more of a difference. Will we change the world? No. Do we want to? Yes. But I'm sure we can definitely give it a good kick up the backside, and just allow people to come forward and do what they want to do. They shouldn't have to worry about where they're from, where their families are from, their origins. If you can do something, you do it no matter where you're from, and that's exactly what we're trying to do together.
I'm really confident we'll change. Our industry builds like tallest buildings in the world, right? So if you really want to do it, we can do it. It's not complicated.
Agree. And just for anyone who will be watching this, you can get a lot more information on the BPIC website, bpicnetwork.com. And if anybody needs any information on some of the amazing courses that we do as well, it's constructionhelpline.com, and we'll put all the links in wherever we share this video. But Amos, I just want to